So many people are more focused on reducing their salt intake, maybe because of they want to regulate their blood pressure, a lot of things. But at the same time, when they are reducing their salt intake, they are experiencing some signs and symptoms that they don't even understand. They are having some feelings, some things in their body that they're like, why am I having this issue again? Why? And maybe if it is blood pressure they are trying to, maybe they're managing, they might feel that is because their blood pressure has been high. That is why they're having those symptoms. But let me tell you, most of the things you experience, especially as a high blood pressure managing person, it is as a result of low salt intake. If you have been cutting off your salts, cutting off salt is not what makes your blood pressure to come down. No, if you cut off salt, you have side effects, and those side effects you will not know that it's even because you are not eating enough salt. One of the signs and symptoms, one of the things you start experiencing if you cut off your salt intake is muscle weakness. You just feel weak unnecessarily and you're wondering why. You have fatigue, like you don't have motivation to do a lot of things because you're so tired, always tired every time. It is one sign that your sodium level is low, that is your salt intake is low. If you're always having nausea, vomiting, you're always having cramps, muscle cramps everywhere. And one problem is that people have these muscle cramps and they'll go and start taking pain relief. And most of those pain relief that they are taking, they are the NSAIDs. And most of those, in fact, NSAIDs are not good for you, but they are not even good for your kidneys. They are one of the things that predispose you to kidney problems. Now, the reason why you are having some of those muscle cramps you're having is because you lack enough sodium in your system. So why a lot of people are pointing fingers at sodium being the cause of high blood pressure, which is not. They are also having some issues for having low sodium because they are running away from sodium. All right. Now, one of the another thing you'll be noticing if you're having low sodium is restlessness. You are just not settled. You are having increased stress. Like, oh my goodness, you are not yourself. You are so stressed. Your cortisol level is high. It is because you are having low sodium levels in your food, in your body. Now, what should you do? I'm not saying you should go and be overusing your salt. What you should do is make sure you're taking your sea salt, especially Himalayan pink salt. It is very good for you. Okay, if you're taking your salt, you're also making sure you're having enough potassium in your food. Yeah, and potassium you get it from avocados, you get from green leafy vegetables, you get from cucumbers, you get from pomegranate, you get potassium from a lot of, in fact, bananas have potassium, plantains have potassium. You understand? So instead of cutting off your salt intake, balance it with potassium. It will help to regulate your blood pressure. Do you understand? So that's what you should do. Eat enough salt in your food. I'm not saying you should overuse salt. Remember, you are taking pink salt, pink sea salt, which is better, and then you are balancing with enough leafy greens, enough potassium. In fact, beans they have enough potassium. Especially these black-eyed beans, they contain potassium. So a lot of our food normally have potassium. So you now cutting off your salts and now eating all those potassium is not good. You have to balance it because potassium and sodium need to be balanced for you to have a very good blood pressure readings. Do you understand? So these are the things you should do instead of cutting off salt, so that you notice that when you start eating enough sea salt, especially that pink salt I mentioned, you will see that these symptoms, those signs and symptoms that you are experiencing, they will go down from you. In fact, you will stop experiencing those symptoms immediately. You start eating normal quantity of salt in your food. Okay, I hope this information helps you. Thank you for watching.